Grace and peace, everyone. This is Charles here with another midweek recharge. And this week, I want to talk to you about being your brother and sister's keeper, or at least a different version of that, so to speak. So one of the issues with Scripture is that it can come across as rather misogynistic, or at least pieces of it. That if we aren't careful, there are passages without proper context or study that can come across patriarchal and misogynistic. And one such passage appears in Paul's first letter to his mentee and pastor, Timothy. And so Paul is writing to Timothy, who is taking over the church in Ephesus and is providing some counsel and some guidance, some feedback on how to address certain issues. And one of the big issues coming out of the church in Ephesus is that there are several preachers and teachers that are misleading the believers. They're teaching something that's not consistent with what Paul was teaching. And furthermore, there were a particular group of individuals, they happen to be identified as female, that were dressing in such a way to display their wealth, and that was a real problem for the members of the church that weren't as wealthy. And so was the issue that these women had wealth? No, that wasn't the issue. Was the issue that these women were showing their wealth in the way that they dressed? Not necessarily. The issue was that it was distracting and humiliating for those members of the church that didn't have that level of wealth. And so Paul wants to address this issue, not because there's something wrong with being a woman, not because there's something wrong with being a wealthy woman, but because these women were oblivious as to the impact that was happening on their fellow believers. And so my challenge to you this week is to consider how you might be perceived by others and if there's any offense. Now, I'm certainly not going to say that we should shrink for the benefit of others, but we do need to be our brother and our sister's keeper. We do need to consider that the things that we say, and perhaps even the things that we do, may keep someone from getting closer to God. Let that be your recharge.